Hello, welcome back to Up the Villa opposition preview, joined by Abigail again. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. I mean, apart from Liverpool's results, I'm doing okay. But, if it's just down to the football, then I'm quite stressed at the minute.
Right, Villa fans and Liverpool fans, I imagine, subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, and get involved in the comment section down below. So, generally, how are you feeling as a Liverpool fan at the minute?
Stressed. It's just not like us. It just doesn't feel natural to be losing games of football. And I know that sounds dead dramatic when you think, there's 20 teams in this league, and the fact that I'm moaning when we won the league last season's just completely out of order. But to lose 5 and 6 and to lose 4 Premier League games in a row, and for one of them to be against Man United, it's a sickener for Liverpool fans, to be honest. So I think we're all feeling a little bit unstable at the minute. Social media seems to be turning against the manager, even though he won us the Premier League last season. Everything just feels a little bit of a mess, and I don't know where we go from here. I mean, we've obviously got Palace tonight, and then we've got Hughes on the weekend, and I'm dreading it. I'm dreading going to Anfield, and it shouldn't feel like that.
So, I think let's go back a bit then. You won the league with Arne Slot, which was absolutely amazing in his first season. And then you start signing a load of players, very good players. So just talk to me a little bit about maybe like last season, how you felt with him coming in, because it was a big deal replacing Klopp and then him sort of having that summer. How have you felt, but sort of like as the two, sort of winning the league and then signing all these players?
Well, if we go all the way back to Jurgen leaving, I thought we were going to have a season like this last year. I thought there was going to be this big transition, and last season we'd be signing all these players, and we don't. We just go and we get Chiesa, and it feels a little bit unstable. You don't really know what we're going to be capable of doing. Mamadashvili, we sign him on loan, and I just thought they're not backing him here. They're not giving him players, but who was I to question him when he's got all of Jurgen Klopp's team there and he's able to do something with them, and he improves certain players. Gravenberg goes into that six, you just seen performances all round just improving. Not without Jurgen, but it just felt as though Arne Slot was doing his own tweaking of Jurgen's team, and it worked. And I don't know if now, a year later after winning the Premier League, he's signed all these players and it's too much change. Too much has happened. Too much has been moved around. Too many players have left and new ones have come in. And have we spent too much money? How can you spend too much money when you've signed Alexander Isak and, the likes of Florian Wirtz, who's an absolute amazing talent that everyone was eyeing up in Europe? So it feels ridiculous to say that, but now, jumping a year later after winning that Premier League, it just feels as though now, should we have kept a little bit to the way things were? I mean, we had an aging team and Nunes wasn't good enough as the striker at the end of the day. That wasn't good enough. But we've obviously got new strikers there. Ekitike's playing really well. Alexander Isak's doing really well. Alexander Isak's not doing really well, but Ekitike's doing well. So it feels stupid to say we shouldn't have signed those players. Do you know what I mean? But there's still this belief in my heart as a Liverpool fan that it's all going to click into place eventually, and there'll be that one game where Isak's just absolutely flying and Mo Salah will click back into place. But you just never know. And I think it's one thing that's being overlooked a lot is the grief of the team. And I'm trying to say it on as many platforms as I can. This team have lost someone that they saw every single day. Jota was a massive part of that team, and I mean, Jurgen Klopp's come out and said it was Salah that encouraged them to sign him because he wanted to play with him. And, it's this character's been completely lost out of their lives that we all adored as fans as well. So I think it's taken a massive bearing on them. And Virgil's come out in interviews after games and said, listen, what's going on outside of the actual pitch is having a massive bearing on all of us. So I don't think that's being considered enough. I feel like when I'm going on like different platforms and I'm doing BBC Radio or I'm doing Sky or whatever, I feel like I just want to talk about that because it's being so overlooked. And I've even had people on social media say to me, like, you're making excuses now, which I just don't think grief is an excuse. I think it's a perfectly fine reason for things to be completely in a bad situation. Do you know what I mean? And I
Mhm.
understand it's a tough subject for people to talk about, and the performances aren't good enough, the players aren't playing well enough. But I just think when you're grieving someone like that you've got a relationship with for 5 years, I think that is going to have an impact on people.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think in football as well, football fans just kind of see what happens on the pitch, don't they? And you judge what happens on the pitch, but teammates bond, they have relationships, they technically like live with each other, don't they? On
Yeah.
coaches, in hotels, and you're right in what you're saying. Because to be honest, I've been watching Haaland's new YouTube channel and just seeing what he does during the week and stuff, and I think it is massive, and I do think you are right to highlight that because camaraderie in the team, and you've lost such a big player at the same time as well. Then, so tactically, then I look at kind of what you're doing with like Kirkes isn't really like the Kirkes of Bournemouth, and right back missing Trent, midfield not quite as strong as what it was last season. So I know Arne Slott's talking a lot about, teams getting direct against you and playing that type of football, but sort of like talk to me about Liverpool. What are you seeing maybe that's going wrong, or some of the good things that you've been doing?
it, it's looked an absolute mess, to be honest. I think Conor Bradley's looked so naive at times. He just all of a sudden does look like a young lad that's just come from the unders and doesn't really know the ropes, which is really weird because last season when he was filling in for Trent at times he looked absolutely amazing, and we were all thinking he was far better defensively. So it's felt as though to me that whole right side has just completely missed Trent Alexander-Arnold and not having his ability to pass the ball up to Salah. I just think that's been a massive loss for Salah's game, and I don't think people are considering it enough. I feel like Mo Salah and Trent just sort of had this, they had this sort of agreement and knowledge of what the other player was going to do, and there's just this complete disjointed. I don't know if we've tried to replace that in another way by signing Florian Wirtz. I think we've sort of thought, right, we'll use him and he'll sort of be an outlet and service to Mo Salah, and it just hasn't worked out that way. And I don't know if that's down to Salah's inability to put it in the back of the net, because what we have seen there is Salah be selfish. There's been a few times where he could have just squared it and he just won't. He has to have that shot. And I think there's this thing inside of him at the minute where he wants to get this duck off, like he just wants to get this whole feeling off of his back. He wants to get people to stop talking about him as if he's started to age and fall off the face of the earth basically in the way that he's playing, that he's just desperate to get that goal, and it's not coming, and it's not going to come if he keeps being selfish in the way that he is. And then you look on the other side, that left hand side, Kirkes does not look like the player that we thought we were signing. He looked unbelievable for Bournemouth last year, and he's ended up just, he himself looks naive as well, but he's constantly throwing himself on the floor. He's a bit rash into challenges. I mean, we're in the day and age now of the long throw, which has sort of been, oh gosh, I didn't even want to talk about that Brentford game, to be fair, but Kirkes is giving away throw-ins right there by the box, and I'm thinking, why are you doing that? There was other passes on for him, and if you go back and you watch some of his performances, it's just been really poor from Kirkes. He just looks like he doesn't have the decision making to be able to, I don't know, go forward. And I don't know if that's Slot telling him, listen, I want you to be more defensive. But that's not really the way we play as Liverpool. We've always sort of had, the left and the right back just bombing forward, and that's the way the players there are used to playing. So it just looks as though to me Kirkes is being asked to do something that he's not really capable of doing at the minute, and it's sort of stunting his growth as a Liverpool player. And Gakpo on that left wing, I don't know. He's had a few moments where I've thought he's looked quite strong, and listen, he is creating goals and he's getting assists, and he's the only one there, well, apart from Ekitike, but he's the only one there that's really sort of making anything in really difficult games. But still at times he's just looked like he's just going to cut around the side of the box and have a shot, and that's what he does every single game, and it's not working out for him. So it's really frustrating as a Liverpool fan to just see the ball land to Gakpo's feet, and you know exactly what he's going to do with it, and so do the teams that we're playing against. So it's just one of those situations where it feels as though no one's playing to the standard that they should be playing. And the midfield, I mean, McAllister has completely lost his abilities to be a Liverpool player at the minute. getting dispossessed. He's overthinking when he's on the ball. I mean, it's sort of a good thing for the likes of like Curtis Jones because he's getting into the team now and he's looked okay. He's actually looked like he's got energy there to go forward, and him and Szoboszlai are linking up really well in that midfield. So, well, I say really well, but not really well when you're not winning football games. So there's all that going on, and Ryan Gravenberg picking up an injury, and Allison getting injured, and now we've ended up having to play Mamadashvili. And listen, it doesn't look like the players know what's his preferred foot. He's left-footed, so they don't realise because they're so used to having Allison behind him. They're passing it to his wrong foot, and then he's panicking. So that's my big rant on on how bad we are performing at the minute. But it's wrong all over the pitch.
Well, I'm one player that I really like, and I actually think he's a top signing, is Ekitike. I mean, talk to me about you getting to watch him. I mean, he started the season sublimely well. And then you kind of had that little bit of a problem with like, well, where does Isak go if he sort of is in the team at the same time? So talk to me a little bit about Ekitike. What have you liked about him?
To be honest, when we first signed him, I was really excited about what I was seeing in some of the pre-season stuff. But you go and sign Alexander Isak, and I started to feel sorry for him, and I thought, there's no way this kid's getting any game time for Liverpool Football Club. There's no way when you signed what I thought was the best striker in the Premier League, if not the world at the time, that he was going to get any game time. But listen, this is what happens. Sometimes players get injuries or they have a spell of bad form, and that's how you end up getting your place in that starting 11. And that's what's happened for Ekitike. Basically, he's been given his opportunity and he's took it. And it's so nice as a Liverpool fan to be able to see a striker that is clinical and will stay on side, because what we've dealt with Darwin Núñez is just overthinking, panicking, childish behaviours at times, and you've ended up with Ekitike there, who looks like the finished article already. And that's really exciting to see, to be honest. And he's linking up well with the players around him. But I've just missed having a proper striker that we can enjoy watching play football for Liverpool. I mean, he himself has made a few mistakes, taking his shirt off against Southampton when he knew he was on a yellow, stuff like that we can't be dealing with. And some of his social media posts, he's got like 2 Instagram accounts. On one of the Instagram accounts, he posts silly stuff on there, and sometimes that's causing a bit of a rift in the fan base from what they're seeing, what he's posting. And we're not really used to that sort of thing, because we've got like proper professionals in Van Dijk and Salah, who tend to be, I mean, apart from Salah recently with deleting all his Liverpool stuff off his accounts, if you know about that. But yeah, he's been wonderful to watch. It's been really exciting as a Liverpool fan to be able to see a proper striker. But I don't know, to be honest, when you watched us against Frankfurt and we had the two of them, Isak and Ekitike together, they played well together, to be honest. They strung a few passes to each other. Isak misses one that Ekitike passes to him, and then the keeper saves another one. So I can see a future for Liverpool where we do play with the two up top and maybe do like, the whole 4-4-2 thing, or I don't really know. It's just, it looks as though that leaves us wide open at times defensively, but at the same time, we might just have to go back to the early days of Jurgen Klopp, where it was, you've got to outscore your opponent basically and just try and score as many goals as you can and go for top four, which sounds
I
which
mean,
sounds terrible.
yeah, because I was going to ask you now about Arne Slot and sort of like the Liverpool fans, like how much sort of pressure is he under? I mean, because you're saying all this, and Villa fans will probably be thinking, "God, I mean, she's moaning," but like can't even be top four all the time and stuff and that, and your bad season is probably like our good season, if that makes sense. But it's reflective to where you are as a football club, and you won the league last year, and you are used to winning trophies and leagues and Champions League, etc. So, sort of, is he under pressure, or does he kind of get a season to say rebuild? And sort of, did that Jurgen Klopp interview kind of just bring back like good vibes and make you think that you missed Klopp? Or so, how are you all feeling about him, etc.?
I think there's two sides to the fan base, and it's rare that they sort of overlap. There's like the online fans, that seem to think that Slot needs sacking and it's terrible and just go and get a new manager, get rid of him, it's not good enough. You know, this sort of like knee-jerk reaction that you can see on social media from fans to straight away, before it was even full-time against Brentford, there was fans on social media saying, get rid of him. But then there's the fans in the ground when I go to Anfield and I'm speaking to people around me and it's, this fella's just won us the league. None of us want rid of him. Listen, you've got to have patience with him. There's so many new players. He's dealing with grief. There's so much change around him. He's took on a massive job. And the fact that he won us the Premier League last season, the last time we won the Premier League after 30 years, we didn't get to celebrate together. It was during COVID and none of us got to be together. This man has come in after literally probably someone that saw as highly of as Shankly at Liverpool Football Club. Some people may disagree with me on that, but that's just the way I feel about Jurgen Klopp. He's come in after him and been able to win the Premier League by just making a few changes. And at the end of the day, there's no pressure from me on Slot to walk out the door or to have any sort of threat on his job. But there is this divide in the fan base online where if you go onto Twitter, you may think all the Liverpool fans have turned against Slot here. They all seem to think that he's not good enough and he's stubborn and he's too honest in his press conferences. That's a new thing everyone's hating on, and he's telling people all our faults in his press conferences. This is why it's going wrong. All these stupid stuff that you see online. But the moment you're around people at the ground, everyone is just filled with so much joy from what they already experienced last season. Listen, it's not fun losing all these games. We're all walking out the ground miserable, but you sort of still have this calm head on you. And I got told I had loser mentality on Twitter the other day because I said, listen, he's just won us the Premier League. If we have to try and go for the Champions League this season and top four and a couple of trophies in there, I'm fine with that. I'm happy with that. But I got told I had loser mentality. But like you've just mentioned the Klopp interview, it was probably just bad timing that come out right after a defeat to Man United because emotions were high. Losing against Man United at Anfield is probably one of the worst things you can experience as a football fan. I was sat in Lower Kenny, row 10, where Harry Maguire did a knee slide right in front of me. So I walked out the ground feeling sick that night. So then when I'm sat in this office working and I've got Jurgen's interview on and he says it is possible to come back, you do just have that feeling inside of you of, listen, if we ever did need him, he would come back. But if you listen to that full interview, he says, I don't want to do that right now. I'm enjoying the work I'm doing for Red Bull. I'm not in a position where I want to football manage. But if he has to come back and manage in the Premier League, if he gets that urge again, he's not going to manage anyone else. He'll manage us. But I would be willing to give Slot a lot more time, and I still don't believe that Jurgen would come back anytime soon. I honestly think it'd take a good 3-4 years for him to get that sort of edge back to be in the Premier League and, you know, stand in the cold weather of Liverpool at training every day and stuff like that. So it did give me a little feeling of, I do miss him. I do miss him, and I do feel as though it would have been lovely to have him winning that title last season because of everything he did for the club. But Arne Slot's a new man, and I'm not going to start turning on him anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me, to be honest, looking at afar anyway. So finally then, what are your thoughts on Villa this season and sort of how do you see the game going at Anfield?
Well, yous have picked up, haven't you? Yous have started to improve, so I think that that's a massive thing, and that's the worst thing for Liverpool fans is for this is what's happening to us. Teams are finding form the moment they've got to come up against us. I think one issue I do have with Villa and Emery is just the lack of use of Harvey Elliott. I have a massive, massive love for Harvey Elliott, and I didn't want him to go. I wanted him to stay a Liverpool player, and I just even now when we're losing games, I'm looking to the bench thinking if we had Harvey Elliott there and his creativity to bring him on, especially even with Salah not performing very well, because Harvey's preferred position was always to be on that right wing, and obviously he's developed as a player now to sort of try and fit into Liverpool's midfield. But seeing that you aren't using him at times, it's really frustrating. Like that was one thing I wanted to ask you is like, why? Like what's wrong with
I d-
Harvey for you not to use him?
I've got no idea, to be honest. Emery's kind of done this in the past. He's very much tactical based, and he's very sort of like strict on getting players to be up to his level of and his demands. Basically, when we signed Rodgers, he kept calling Rodgers a championship player, and that was his like motivation to kind of get him to a specific level. And then when he said, "You're not a championship player, you're now a Premier League player," he's kind of like ready. But like you say, I think a lot of Villa fans are kind of thinking he's got qualities that can help this team. He's not playing against go ahead Eagles in the Europa League. He's not getting that many minutes. Wasn't even in the squad against Man City. And that was quite damning to me for him, really. The fact that he's not even in the squad. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he just came back and started playing, because that's what Emery generally can do. But I don't know whether we had sort of like financial SCR problems in the summer, and there's this 10-game clause in his contract, isn't there?
Do
That
you think
once
you
that
don't want
gets
to
triggered,
buy him? Do you think that's it? Trying to avoid buying him for is it
maybe.
35
But
we agreed? 35
yeah, yeah.
million,
But the
something
thing
like that.
is, it's only 10 games, and he's played about six. So
Yeah.
I don't know whether it is that or it isn't, but I think he should be involved in the squad and in the team. And I see his qualities like what you do, but I mean, we've got to trust Unai Emery because he's not done anything wrong yet. But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
He's just one of those players that if I could take him back now during this period that we're going through, just to sort of have a player like that there, I would want him back at Liverpool. So if you don't want to use him for those last four games where you have to buy him, I'm absolutely fine with that. Considering he's a boyhood Liverpool fan and stuff like that, it is important to us here. So if you don't start using them, I don't understand, honestly, because I've watched quite a few Villa games this season just to try and see him perform and thinking, oh, he'll come on soon and stuff like that, and he just hasn't. And then to see he wasn't included in that City squad just feels, that City team it just feels like a waste. It does. It feels like
Yeah.
a waste to me, and I'm hoping he can sort of get a different move then to see his qualities flourish. But I'm not looking forward to the game on Saturday. I know it's Anfield under the lights, and we should be feeling confident, and we are the Premier League champions. But it just feels like it's going to make no difference at the minute. I think it depends how we do against Palace tonight as well. That's all up in the air, but I'm not confident.
Well, to be honest, I mean, it's 22 minutes. You've made me feel quite confident, but I respect you as a team, and I know your quality, and I do expect you to come up with the correct formula at some point and start playing. And I mean, you can't sign Isaac Verts, Frimpong, Kirkes, and you've got great players anyway, and continue to be the way you are. So I do think you'll pick up. But like you say, maybe it might not be winning the title this year. But anyway, it's been great chatting to you. Your knowledge on Liverpool is always very good, and your content on Red Men TV is great as well. So
Thanks.
keep up the good work.
Well, thanks for having me. I've enjoyed this chat, but I don't feel very confident after voicing all my concerns. But thanks for having me.
Thank you.